So, Ludovico, you got away with this one here, but you're not going to get away the next time. So, it's 1-0 for you, but don't worry. What goes around comes around. Okay?
Well, I hope he says the same thing when Fiorentina plays against Milan.
Oh. What is up, everybody, and welcome back to the Serie A audio experience with IFTV. We've got some new faces who've actually been part of a lot of podcasts before, but together, we're all new. We got Antonia, who just left for Italy. We got my dad, who's on his way back from Italy. And Peter, who was just at the Fiorentina. He went to the two best games. Like Ludo said.
Right.
How many goals?
He saw 11 goals in 2 games.
Peter was at Fiorentina,
living
Napoli,
a life.
and then he went to Inter Lecce. You're right. 11 goals in 2 days.
Wow.
That's not bad.
Not bad.
But every game this guy goes to, he gets lucky with the games.
goals.
You guys went to the Derby. He was happy. They win the Derby. So everywhere he goes, he gets something else.
He brings them success. He brings them luck.
You should go to more Inter games,
Maybe
You better stay away from the Derby in February. I'm going this year. Not this year.
But guys, we actually have an IG stories at ItalianFootballTV. We'll put it on the link so you can check it out. He was there before the game, during the game, and after the game. So it was a nice little story, nice little match.
Speaking of IG stories, Peter recorded showing the Champions League patch on the Inter jersey.
Oh, that was
And
fun.
Sebastian, you're a Milan fan, so I know you're going to stick up for him. Antonio was so mad. Even on the phone, he's like, I'm going to kick that guy's ass when he comes over.
I'm not going to lie. Even when I saw it, I was a little mad. Because I'm trying to take everything lighthearted with all the jokes. But even just seeing that, it burned a little bit in my soul. But we'll get back there. Don't worry.
So we got a good mix. Ludovico, obviously, you guys know the Napoli fan. Ludo, when we were in Miami and Detroit, when we were with the team, everybody asked for you. They said, we need Ludo on the podcast more. We need the Napoli fan back on.
Glad to be back.
So we always got you. And Sabino from Growing Up Italians. If you guys don't know what he's doing, he's been on a bunch of podcasts now. Does a really good job at Growing Up Italians. Not Inter fan.
Huge
Very,
Inter fan. Great guy. That's how you know he's a great guy.
very. We put Michael and Sabino on this side, the two Inter fans now.
The future Scudetto winners right here, right?
You see, he says that, but then on the prediction video, he doesn't say that Inter's going to
I still
win.
didn't give it to them.
Yeah, we're going to make you guys predict some, too. What were you going to say? You're gonna go out?
Did you guys do a prediction?
Yeah, we did it.
Yeah, we did. Yeah.
You know, he said Juventus was going to win.
He actually said Inter was.
I said Inter's going to win.
And he of all people said Inter's
I said Inter's going to win. I think they're going to.
He's doing this stuff.
No. That's what he's doing. That's what he's doing.
Juve's bench is insane.
Yeah, I know. They have a lot.
Like they showed the 11 bench, and they could start. Like
They
on
can
any
fight for a
team,
European
absolutely.
spot. Their second
Yeah, but the
squad.
team's still
But
taking.
they're forced to sell. They have to
They
sell.
have to.
They need to sell, and hopefully they
gonna.
will conclude a couple of players that will eventually leave by next week.
Before the market closes, they're going to have
Yeah,
to.
they definitely will. They definitely.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think we all were. What?
I'm not shocked.
Well, think about who's
I
the
figured he was going to
Think about-
start.
Well, we
think
all
about
figured he
who's
was
the
going to
coach.
start.
We all thought the
Yeah,
he was
exactly.
gonna leave though.
Think about who's the coach now.
Yeah.
That's why. He loves that guy.
Yeah, no, I'm not that
I
surprised.
didn't even think he'd be here with Juve still, to be
Yeah,
honest.
but it was I have to say, this was an electric start of the season. We couldn't have asked for a start of the season more exciting
That's
than this
true.
one. I counted up the goals. I tallied up the goals. Serie A had more goals than any other league this weekend. They had 32 goals. I think Bundesliga had like 31. No, Serie A had 33, Bundesliga 32, Premier League 30, and La Liga 18.
Wow.
Just to give a little perspective, because a lot of people like to say Serie A is too boring. Yeah, same amount of games.
We
same
got the
amount of
bragging
games.
rights this week.
So
this
yeah,
weekend, right?
this one we started off with a bang, especially, and speaking about a bang, and like we were talking about Instagram stories, and Antonio and Ludo, you guys were going off this weekend when we went to play. We went to play at Verrazano.
Oh my God, yeah.
So much so that Antonio, when he called me today, he asked me, he goes, Marco, is Ludovico going to be on the podcast? And I told him, I said, listen, Ludo's going to be there. He goes, okay. He goes, I'm going to send you an audio message, and you're going to play it right after Ludovico talks. So afterwards, after when we speak about the Napoli game,
That's jealousy talking.
But, hey, at least we could shut him off for once. I can stop it whenever we want.
Remember what I said? I believe it was a few podcasts ago when I said that when the fox cannot reach the grape, you know what it says? It's sour.
Exactly.
Is Antonia one of those guys that just sends voice notes all day?
No, he
No, he
doesn't.
actually
No,
doesn't.
he
Oh my
actually
God.
doesn't.
He never
Italian
does.
people do.
I think he might have learned what it is just right now.
That's what
He's
my
the
dad
kind of guy
does
that
too.
he's the kind of guy that puts a lot of emojis though.
Yeah,
surprisingly.
he uses the same like 5 emojis all day long. Yeah,
Well, those are his favorites. He has them on.
yeah, exactly. And I think
Sano has an emoji.
oh my God. Well, we'll talk about Cassano too because he went off on Tiki Taka. But let's start off with the games, and then we'll jump around a little bit and we'll talk about everything. Juventus started off with a win against Parma, 1-0 win. I missed the first half.
Yeah,
Actually.
I really thought Allegri was still the coach because that game was. I don't know if anyone else saw it, but that game was so boring.
I heard the first half was so much better than the second. The second half I saw,
I
and
don't know.
it looked like Allegri
Overall,
was
it
still the
not
coach.
Good, but
Yeah, from Ronaldo.
Ronaldo,
yeah,
it was,
it was
that he
offside
was
by like a
offside.
fingernail.
Yeah.
Antonia.
It,
It was so close.
My opinion on the Juventus game is, number one is after 50 minutes, the team was dead. Physically, they just went down. But everyone is under the impression that just because Sarri went to Juventus, that they're going to see the same kind of soccer that they saw in Naples. In Napoli, you had players that they were coming off, they were coming from a non-so-good season. So when you have a locker room that they're willing to follow you, unconditionally follow you, and I remember a couple of players, after when Sarri came in, they wanted to leave, and then after 2 weeks, they went to Sarri and said, no, I want to stay. They have to follow you unconditionally. Now, Juventus, when you have that kind of team and that kind of bench, when you have that kind of roster, I don't know if they're willing to follow you unconditionally or if they're going to say after a couple of months, they're going to say, okay, we're not going to do these type of practices or we're not going to do an hour and a half of tactics every single day because we're getting tired of this. That's my opinion.
Ronaldo.
So you
You know what I'm saying? Like,
you have to adjust according to the players that you have, that you are coaching. He didn't create the same style of play at Chelsea. He had Hazard, which to me is one of the best, if not the best player in the world.
Unbelievable.
Hazard had his best year, like, stats-wise.
Well, he knew already if Hazard was on that particular day, if the light was on, Chelsea would win. If Hazard's light was off, Chelsea would lose. But he was not able to create that at Chelsea. They didn't follow him. He couldn't do it because he didn't have those players at his disposal. The same with Juventus. So, yes, the fundamentals are there. Those are the basic fundamentals, but you're not going to see the entire show that you saw when he coached those 3 years in Naples. You have to have
Look at the
players that have
midfield.
That's my opinion.
No, I agree with you completely because I was looking at the midfield and I see Matuidi who dribbles a ball and he has no control over it. I see Khedira who still I don't believe how he's in the midfield and Pjanic who's the only one to me that's at that level. The midfield still lacks so much, and I don't think you could play this Sarri ball, like you want to say, with these kind of guys that are still starting. And I know we haven't seen Ramsey, we haven't seen Rabiot, which we don't know,
Or
Dybala, but specifically in that center midfield, where I don't see how it works. It was so sloppy. It was such a sloppy game. And it's weird. Like we predicted. We said this, though. It's going to be a huge transition period. I think 3 months, you're going to see a lot of... It's probably going to be better than this, but it's going to take... There's going to be growing pains. There's going to be a lot of growing pains, specifically, and you see how many lost balls between Bonucci, between De Sciglio, between the midfielders who just don't have, like what you're saying, that synergy of everybody being together and everybody doing the same thing. We saw some good things, some bad things. He also started with the same exact guys as last year, besides Higuain, who really was kind of part of the team. De Ligt was left on the bench for the full match. I know he was a little bit annoyed that he was left on the bench.
He said that he was shocked that he didn't get a chance to even step on the field.
Yeah. And he said, of course, I know that Bonucci and Chiellini, it'll take time, but he said he thought he would play. And then Dybala, who was left on the bench the entire time, and guys like Bernardeschi are still getting playing time, who to me are not part of Juventus or should not be coming in at Juventus.
You cannot blame also Sarri because Sarri, up to now, he still doesn't know who's going to stay and who's going to go
that's
by
true.
next week.
The Mercato's still open, so.
The Mercato is still open, so certain players that the club, that the sporting director said that they're going to be leaving, we don't know if they're going to leave. Yes, they can stay in Serie A, but then Champions League, he cannot put 5 to 6 players on the Champions League list.
There's still a lot of question marks. To me,
There is.
wasn't impressed.
It's going to take time.
Wasn't impressed, but also I'm not surprised. I didn't expect to see anything other than a lot of sloppy play. And I think Juventus were really lucky at a point that Parma wasn't better than what they could have done, because if it was a stronger team, they would have scored a goal.
I was
one goal
disappointed-
easily.
I was disappointed
Easily.
in Parma, man. Last year they played with so much heart. Maybe it was just off game, their first time coming together.
They were at
Parma
home too,
didn't
by
give
the way.
anything. Parma.
They were at
didn't-
home
I
too.
didn't see
I
anything
wouldn't say
from them.
they didn't give anything, because I thought they caused problems.
very few.
Maybe they didn't take advantage of some of the opportunities. But other than that, not much to talk about. But speaking of the offsides though, to Ronaldo, I heard an opinion. I wasn't gonna bring it up, but there was a guy on Tiki Taka, and we'll talk about Tiki Taka, the show in Italy that like Cassano and Vieri and all of them are part of. There's another guy who I don't know what he does. Who's the guy with the long hair?
Cruciati.
Who is he?
Well,
He's a young guy. He's a young guy.
Right. He's basically an opinion.
Yeah, okay. He wasn't a player, I didn't
Right.
think, right? He made a point. He says that Ronaldo, he said those kind of calls that are centimeters or millimeters, whatever you want to call them, he said those should not be called offsides. He's saying not by the rules. He's saying the rule should be that it's not, because he's saying there's no advantage. He actually argued, he said Ronaldo's at a disadvantage. And he wasn't just saying for this play, he's saying in general. He said anything like that that's so slight doesn't really give you an advantage. And he says even Ronaldo, you see he has to take a step back so that he stays on side and then goes forward. And what do you guys think about that?
Nah, I think that's.
He was saying an offside needs to be like a lot more than a millimeter,
Well,
like a toenail off.
On this particular subject, whether the offside should be called, not the offside, or that's a penalty or not a penalty, we can be here. We could talk. We could have a podcast for 30 hours consecutively, and we will have different opinions on
Let's
this.
do it.
Now, what is the difference between if you're offside by 10 meters or if you're offside by 5 inches?
He's saying
it's
that-
still an
well,
offside.
5
yes,
inches-
it
5
takes away
inches
from
is-
the dynamics
5 inches
of the
is a
play,
lot.
but the rules
Yeah, I agree with
were
you,
set.
Yeah, but it's a
rules
metaphor.
were set to be followed. And if all the teams accepted the rule, you have to accept the 5-inch offside. Not that I agree with it, because I think the dynamics.
But he's not saying
of
5
the
inches
play,
though.
yeah, he's saying
He's saying like
Micro,
literally
like a millimeter.
millimeter.
When I say 5 inches, it
Yeah.
could be, but it's still, you're talking about 1 inch, 2 inch, you're talking about 10 meters. Technically speaking, it's still an offside.
Still
So when
offside.
the rule was put into effect, that everybody accepted these new rules and regulations, now you have to go by them. Do we agree on it? Because it takes away the dynamics of the play. Like the guy was saying, yes, we agree. But now we agree
But that's
to
his point.
disagree.
He's not saying it wasn't offside.
Correct.
He's just saying that he doesn't think that the rule should be that. He thinks when it's clear, he says otherwise it's a robot. He said because even a human eye can't see. He said the linesman could never see if it's that little that he has an advantage. He goes, and you're putting the attacker at a disadvantage
Correct.
because he has to pull back and then go forward. It was just it was an
get it,
interesting
but
thing
I
that
get it, but it will get too complicated.
I didn't think
Yeah.
I could agree with it, but
should
then
be
I was like,
offsides.
Yes,
No,
no,
that's
I
interesting.
perfectly understand what he's saying. But then you have to go to the other side and say, okay, these are the rules. Everyone accepted them.
Yeah.
Now everybody has to follow them. Whether it's 1 inch or it's 10 meters, everyone
What do you
has
think,
to
Sebastian?
follow.
No, it's-
Everyone has to follow those rules. And you have the VAR room, and they have to make sure that the calls are made properly.
Yeah, it's their job.
I agree. No,
That's their job.
No, yeah, even going off of what he said and going on to any of the new rules, once you establish a new rule, and exactly like Ludo said, once all the teams come to a consensus and accept it, it has to be unanimous. It can't be still a subjective type of play and type of style, especially
Because then
by the
there's so
referee.
much complaining at the
Yeah,
end of the day.
because then
Yeah.
it's not
either
right.
yes
It's
or
not
no.
justified to the other teams that are going to suffer by that. That are not going to receive that. So
But
other examples like the handball situation this weekend,
Yeah.
like we saw for the
Exactly.
first time too. There was a lot of controversy and like that in different situations where you have
We'll
one
get to
game.
that
We gotta get to that.
You have one.
Sebastian's been mad
You
the
have
whole
one
time.
game where they're able to get one and it seems very controversial, and then in another game where it looks kind of
the
obvious.
Milan's coming out.
Like no definite answers when it comes to offside and handballs. It's all subjective. It's like, did he do it in purpose or not?
But the
Well,
point
the whole-
is that once you're implementing the new rule that they're stipulating, you have to stick to it.
Exactly.
But again, not to put words into the guy's mouth who made it. He was not saying, he was not arguing that.
Yeah.
He was arguing that the rules shouldn't be like that. And he also argued the handball, which we'll get to after we explain the game, which I think is going to cause the biggest debate, more
Sorry,
so
I
on the
kinda jumped
rule.
the gun a little bit there.
But okay, Fiorentina Napoli, 4-3.
Dude, that
Napoli
was
won.
incredible.
What
That
a
was-
what a
Electric.
game.
Before
What a
I start
game.
anything, yo, I wanna tip my hat to Fiorentina, man. They weren't even supposed to get even close to that. They scored 3 goals against arguably one of the toughest defenses in Italy. So
I think you brought that one up.
Yeah, you brought that one up right away.
which part? Oh, the defense part?
If Manolas wasn't there, would you have said it like that?
Oh, yeah.
I think he would have waited to bring that up
Yeah,
later
I know.
on.
Exactly. Exactly.
But no. Regardless, though, yeah, Fiorentina, they did amazing. They deserved at least a point because
Yeah.
they played amazing for who they had on. They were fighting. The stadium was full. It was just an amazing debut for the new management too. So I was sad for them not getting a point. 'cause
I
they
agree. I
deserved
agree
more.
with Mike. It was the first game under the Comiso era.
Yeah.
There was a lot of just happiness. You saw Comiso. He actually said he wanted to sit in the curva with the fans.
Yeah.
But he said my back is so bad, and my doctors were like, no, you can't. So that's the kind of guy that he is, and I think there was a lot of enthusiasm with the fans. You see how excited. There's finally a team that wants to compete, and I think that matched with the team on the field. And you saw guys like Sotil. Pulgar and a lot of players that were just there was a spirit over there that they wanted to do more than what they've always done. Not just be there, but to actually try to compete against the second best team in Italy from last season, the team that finished in second place. So my hat tip to Fiorentina, absolutely. And I think that's a testament to Fiorentina this season. I think that they're going to have a fire under their asses, that they're ready to prove some people wrong with some young players and then the mix of experience. So I agree with you, Mike. I think that they were very unlucky to lose this game and not at least get a point. I thought they deserved it. But at the same time, Napoli did really good at capitalizing on their chances. I mean, they had like two chances and they bounced back.
Every chance.
Napoli, when they wanted to score, it just happened right away. Like, I think it was a third goal Fiorentina scored. Like, Napoli answered back right away.
We could even see a second. We could even see the second preview of the other goal. And
Yeah.
they scored. Like,
They were just
wow,
showing the
that-
highlight, and then they scored
Exactly,
one more
yeah,
out of nowhere.
Fiorentina, like you guys were saying, they came out on fire. New ownership and the 24,000 plus people at the stadium. And Montella has to find a balance between the experienced players and the younger players. I think their defense needs to be adjusted a little bit. It lacks experience. And I think also I'm not too convinced about their goalkeepers. I think he should have done a little bit better on a couple of goals.
Yeah.
The goalkeeper from
it
Fiorentina.
was the first game. You're gonna let it slide.
This is my opinion.
No.
Now, after 5 minutes, you have a penalty that sets the game, that sets a different tone to the game. A penalty that, again, we spoke about this 5 minutes ago. New rules, new regulations. The arm was out. The arm, it's a penalty. It should have been called, but now it puts the game into a different tone where Napoli is forced now to basically attack. And I felt that Alan and Zielinski, they were not synchronized. Plus, you have Koulibaly, who came 2 weeks ago, never played with Manolas, and
They
the
were bad.
defense was not balanced.
Yeah,
they were
bad.
not
They
playing
weren't
together.
fused, yeah.
And then you had this, Insigne that had a decent game, 2 assists, a couple of goals. The penalty should not have been a penalty for Napoli. Of course, that's another discussion. But like you said, Napoli wanted, whenever they wanted to score, they could have scored. And Fiorentina did play a great aggressive game, but then the last 20 minutes, you saw that they went down, and that's when Napoli came out. And of course, the experience prevailed the experience of the team. But Fiorentina can be a good team, but they need a couple of more signings, and they need to find that balance between the experienced and the new players on the field. And Montella will be a good coach to find the right mix for that.
I thought Mertens and Insigne were unbelievable. They played amazing.
Well, they know each other. Here we go again with Sarri.
Yeah.
We see, right, you have that chemistry, yes. Ancelotti is the coach, but what you see sometimes in certain plays, the way they fly, the way they come out, and the way they do those passes and those triangles and those one touches, it's still Sarri ball. It's still that style of play. Yes, a little bit of fine tuning, a little bit of a tune-up from Ancelotti, but deep down, it's still that style of play. Even though I think we're still missing a center forward. We're still missing someone that can finalize, someone in the area. And I think
Magari.
and I think Icardi would be based on the percentage of play that Napoli produces. Remember, Napoli, they get to the other side of the net very, very easily.
Yeah.
They'll get to the other side. But if you have that person in the middle that can put, the amount of chances that Napoli creates during the game, if you have that person there in the middle that could put those balls in, yes, then we could talk Scudetto.
That's the exact thing that Icardi does best too. Like Icardi is the perfect finisher. He's the guy. He doesn't create much. He doesn't do a lot of stuff other, but he's always in the right place.
Right. You
he
have
knows
to
how to get his
create
goal.
for him and serve it on a
platter.
which is built for the Napoli that they have.
He's fit for that style of play.
But
Absolutely.
speaking of the experience at Fiorentina, Boateng, who comes on, his first shot was a rocket that almost tricked Meret to going in, and then his second touch was the goal that he scored. And I think that's last year Fiorentina was the youngest team in Europe. In all 5 leagues, they were the youngest team in Europe, and they lacked a player like Boateng who could come in the 60th, 65th minute, whenever the hell he came in, and be like, guys, this is what we need to do to elevate our game. You need to take a shot. We need to get the momentum on this team. And Boateng, I'm just saying Boateng just because he came in and he was more fit. Ribéry, he only said he had like 5-10 minutes in him to play because he's been out for a little while.
I feel that if Fabian Ruiz of Napoli plays 20 to 30 yards a little bit back, Napoli is a little more balanced. That's my opinion. Mm-hmm. And I will put Zielinski in that a little, well, not actually forward, but to be between the lines. Mm-hmm. Between the lines. I felt that Napoli was on the field. Napoli was unbalanced. When you have Fiorentina players carrying the ball for 30, 40 meters and nobody trying to take the ball away from you, you're going from one side of the field to the other side, and there's a huge gap in the middle, then there's something wrong with the balance of the team. They're not compact.
And the same argument could have been made for Fiorentina too, because they're still trying to play together. This is the first time the team has been put to a real tough test like this. You saw how Insigne and everybody on the left-hand side kept drawing them over to the side, and they kept finding Callejon free for the ball over there, and then they kept feeding him the ball, and then every time he would get there, it would be very dangerous for Fiorentina. You would see all those opportunities that were there. So both teams, but I agree with you, definitely. If you would have Ruiz a little further back and Zielinski further up, probably a lot more balanced, I agree.
I wanted to add that, Boateng goal, what Marco was saying, Boateng's goal was amazing, but I was even more surprised that he's like 33 and he did those flips. Like
three cartwheels.
I was like, where did that come from? I was like, how old is this guy?
He
can still do it.
He's young. He's young at heart. He's young at heart.
Really
no, but the Fiorentina, I think that both teams, it kind of reminded me of a Premier League game. Like at least the first half was like, it was so intense.
Very intense.
But that's what they described it as on
intensity.
Sky. On Sky, they said for the first 30 minutes, they felt like it was a Premier League game
And it
with
was-
the pace that there was.
It was
going
really
on.
exciting, and I
It
think
was
both defense let each other down.
Yeah,
Napoli's defense was bad. Fiorentina's defense and keeper were poor. Let's talk about the controversy, which is the thing that everybody wants to hear about. First off, we'll start with the handball. And before we even start with the handball, we got to say the new rule, because there's a new rule that's in place. Last year, this would not have been a call. Would not have been a call for a penalty kick. So the new rule states, and Ludo, correct me if I'm wrong, because I know you know even better than I do, that no matter what, no matter the intent, as long as the arm is in an unnatural position, even if it hits his freaking chest and then hits there, or even if the player is inside the box and hits directly at the guy's hand, as long as it's in an unnatural position and hits the hand, it is a penalty kick. No longer is intent. Your hand has to go towards the ball. You have to be directed towards the ball. So right away, we saw this go in. And also shout out to the kid Gaetano. What's his last name? Castrovilli, who's from Bari, who actually played a great game. He was the one who earned the penalty kick. I have to
couldn't stop talking about it.
Antonia says he's worth $45 million already, by the way, after the first game.
I knew he was.
He's number 8. He's number 8 for Fiorentina. He was actually really good, but not 45 million.
He did pretty well.
He did well. He was the one who got the penalty, who hit the ball, and then it hit Zielinski. It hit Zielinski's side of his chest first, and then hit his bicep. Technically, according to this new rule, it's a penalty kick. Not that I agree with it. We could discuss it right now.
Right. It's the dynamics, like we said. Like, Zielinski's arm was out, and this is something you teach a 12-year-old youth player, that you stick your arm out from preventing the player to get to the ball. You don't want him to get to the ball. That's why the arm is out. Just like when they go up for head balls, they
to have
put
that
their
elbow.
shoulder and they put their arms on the shoulder so the opponent doesn't
Jump
jump high
higher.
enough and you jump higher
Yeah.
than it. These are things that you teach 12, 13-year-old guys. So the arm was out. It's something that you do natural. You've been doing it for years. And
It's
then
for
the ball
balance.
bounced on the
Yeah.
knee. He hit the knee up and it hit the ball. Yes, it's
Technically.
a penalty.
Technically, it's a
yes,
penalty.
It's a penalty. But if you analyze the dynamics of it, should have been a penalty.
It's a little harsh.
I don't know.
No, but now what the rule explains that if his arm would have been there, he could have done maybe some kind of sombrero, like, to kick the ball
Come on.
over Zielinski's head, try something
That's
and
crazy.
create an opportunity. But these are rules that they have to be implemented. But now, here's my but. Let's hope these rules get implemented throughout all the games.
Here's
and
the
no
next
matter
problem.
consistent.
Thank
no matter
you.
Here's the
who
next
is
problem.
playing.
Thank you.
He's
Who
back.
is playing on the field? Who are the teams and who are the colors? Which are the colors of these teams? That these calls are made unanimously 100% on to favor everyone, and not that one week something gets called and another week something else does not get called.
The problem, it's all subjective.
Correct. It's all subject. Mertens penalty. It was not absolute. It was not a penalty, but that was a miscommunication between the VAR room and the referee. Did they have all the images at their disposal? Did they have all the angles for them to see?
They said that
this?
they had more angles than what we saw. But first, like you're saying about this. Now, the thing is about the rule. I don't like the rule. I personally, I don't agree with it because to me, Zielinski, you need to balance. Your arms are used as balance, right? And I know that when you're defending or cross is coming in the box, you got to put it like this. But when the play's coming up, look, even naturally, I just did it.
You raise your arms,
You raise
yeah.
your arms for balance to hold yourself balanced. So I don't think that a player's in the box, he hits the ball at your hand and it's by your side and it gets hit. That's a penalty. But now on the flip side, the only good thing that I could find from it is that it should be black and white. It should be no matter what, it hits the hand like that, it's there.
There
And then
shouldn't
in the
be a
Milan
subjective gray
game,
area.
we see hits Samir the Udinese defender, hits his arm,
Point blank.
Yeah, it was bad.
and then they call.
Arm or hand?
But
No,
did
no,
he
no.
see that
No.
ball? I don't
It
think
was
they,
on- it was
they
on his
explained
upper
it
arm.
why
They-
it
they
was not
said-
a penalty.
They explained afterwards that it
That
hit
it
his.
hit the
they saying
shoulder.
it's
It
hitting
hit
the
the
shoulder. To me, it looked like it hit him.
To me, it looked like it hit the arm.
So all of it, now I understand. If you're a Milan fan, you're like, "Are you kidding me?" The entire rule shows, like Sebastian would say here. I don't like the rule. Personally, I don't think it's good. And also, that guy made another example. He was like, no, actually, it wasn't him.
Cassano, right?
It was somebody else. Somebody was like, if you had a player like Cassano, and Cassano was sitting next to him, who he said is the most precise shooter in football has ever seen. He goes, he'll go inside the box 5 times. He'll hit the ball. He'll just shoot it right at the defender's hand. He'll get 5 penalty kicks. He goes, Cassano will have 5 goals a game because he knows exactly how to hit the guys. Right?
Yeah.
What like?
Yeah, but that's what happened with the guy with the knee. He saw
But
the
no,
arm
it wasn't
out,
a
and the
te-
guy with the knee, he went,
You think he did it for the penalty there?
absolutely. He
Absolutely,
could have
yeah.
stopped the
Really?
ball. He
No,
could
I
have
don't
put his
think
leg
so.
down.
I thought it
and-
was-
Okay,
I
but
think,
either
I
way-
think, I
Yeah,
think,
I
I
know,
think in a
sure.
way he saw the opportunity there and he took it.
I think the rule is not good. Personally, I don't like the rule.
I agree
Well,
with
but
you.
now they have to be put in these rules. Now they have to be learned. They have to be. Now everybody has. It's not easy also for these referees now to basically adapt on such short notice.
Yeah, that too.
To all these
That
new
too.
rules and
That too.
regulation. There's a lot of work to be done. Yeah.
But you don't think they're doing training before
No,
the
I'm
season?
sure they are. Yeah, but
I'm
like
sure
you said,
they
it
are
still
trained, but
takes.
still a real game situation.
Nah, I
And
don't
now
know.
when
That
you
doesn't
asking
make
for
it
the
fair.
VAR.
When I see that, that doesn't make it fair. It's
I
like,
don't think it is either.
naturally, when you're running, when you're jumping, you have your hands out sometimes. I understand if it's in the box or something, it's a
But
cross, but something like that. how
That-
do
that's
you
what I'm saying.
control
Like when a
that?
cross is coming in,
Like, it's
I
messed-
adapted
yeah,
to that. I
okay.
said, yo,
Yeah,
you're supposed to
that's
put your hands
different.
behind your back. But when the ball's coming up in
I
a
know.
box,
How you not gonna
have
put
to
your
put your
hands
arms
up?
out.
You're balancing
Who the
yourself.
jumps like
Yeah,
this?
you can't.
You're a
It's
What
not
I
fish.
natural.
disagree, what I don't find appropriate is that, let's say something happens on a particular day, a particular play where it's a penalty, questionable. The ref goes and checks the VAR. Okay, it's a penalty. The following week, different game, same exact episode.
And it's not consistent.
It doesn't get checked.
And it's not
Yeah.
consistent.
It's not consistent
that's
at
the
all.
biggest-
But we see it
That's
so
the
many
big issue.
times. We see it so
been
many
saying it for
times.
how many
even,
seasons
but
it
even
happens?
look how many times, even in a situation when there's instances where you can go check in the game and the
Oh my
referee
God, that's
is
the most
right
frustrating.
there. Look at the Fiorentina Napoli game, for example. How many times when we were all together watching the game, the referee,
The
point
Mertens
blank,
penalty
is looking right at the situation. It's not like he had a terrible view. And even so, even if you had a terrible view, how many angles they have? If they're suggesting that they have more angles than we do on television,
It should be a
how are they
no-brainer.
missing that?
Yeah.
So
the VAR should have told them
VAR
on
should have told
Mertens
them
it was not a penalty.
the next issue is that one. We talked about the handball, which was the first penalty for Fiorentina. Technically, yes, penalty. For me, I don't like the rule, but the rules say it's a penalty. Next one, Mertens.
Yeah, that was messed
Never
up.
a penalty.
That was messed up. He should.
No, absolutely not.
Never
it was
a
not a
penalty.
penalty. I
It
think
was
it was more penalty on Ribéry at the end.
Yeah.
Even though I think the referee was fooled by also Ribéry's hand at the beginning when he was holding the Napoli's defender shirt and you could see it, and then his eye pulled them down.
But
afterwards.
bigger picture. Because when I saw the Mertens go down at first, I thought Castrovilli, who was the same guy, I thought he tripped him. I did. From my view, right away in live time, I thought he tripped him. But perfect. That's why we have
yeah,
VAR.
exactly.
That's
right?
why exactly we have
So
VAR.
then we saw the first replay, and you see Castrovilli moves his leg back to jump out of the way. Mertens puts his forward, doesn't get touched, and falls
He
to the ground.
initiated his foot as
From
if
the,
he was
from the first
tripped.
from the first one, you could tell that it wasn't. So and the referee didn't go check the VAR. The VAR doesn't tell him. The people who are in the VAR room, how the hell in the world can you not tell the referee to check
And
that?
apparently
play?
But
they
isn't
have
there
more
also-
angles. too.
And-
Yeah.
and they,
But
and they say afterwards that they
there
have
was
more
a
angles.
miscommunication between the two. But
That's
again,
completely
yes, go check
unacceptable.
it. Now you're
It's
wasting
completely-
another
Well-
minute. Add that minute to the clock
Ludo, I
at the
want to
end.
ask you,
Right.
as an example now, should Mertens be punished for this so no one else
No,
does
I
this?
think there's a rule that no, there is no.
There is a rule that he can't be punished. I think unless it was seen by the VAR or by the
Well,
referee.
how do you feel about that? You think?
Oh,
that's okay?
I think that he should be punished
think
too.
so, too.
I think anybody, any dive, because in American sports we have that
But
a lot
then we
more.
have
Anybody that
also-
cheats, we put them right
Then
away.
we have
boom,
a similar.
they get in
Then
trouble.
we have a similar episode last year. Juventus Napoli.
But any-
Meret comes
any-
out. Ronaldo dives.
Well,
and
that
Meret
one, there
gets
was
a red
actually some
card.
contact.
Ludo,
I knew that he was gonna
Meret
bring that
clipped
up.
him. I saw that clip different angles. He did slightly, even though if he fell a little bit, he did clip him a little bit. Whether he fell all the way.
Okay, but either
there
way,
was
let's
there was
just.
contact.
But I'm just saying, in general, it's complete for me. It's completely unacceptable that the referee doesn't go check VAR on a situation
Agreed.
like this. Because it changes a match. It really
it does,
and I
yeah.
hate the idea that we're gonna waste a minute. No, for a call like this, guess what? You know how much time is wasted to take a freaking penalty kick or to take a free
Right.
kick? The guy fixes
Or
his
throw
shin
in,
guard.
correct.
He starts
He's
this.
gonna
throw in.
retie his shoe.
One guy grabs the ball, the other guy, no, let me take the throw. Okay, cut that out. Cut that out. Why are we doing? We're cutting the time on a really important call. And same thing with the Ribéry one. Again, how is that not checked?
Yeah,
The
I'm
referee's right in
surprised,
front.
man.
Again, if it's questionable, and I know they were saying if it was outside the box, they couldn't check. He was on the line. It should have been enough. Those kind of
To check
situations
it,
for me need to be checked. Even if they take an extra minute,
Especially at the
it's
end of the
too
game. It was
important.
towards the end of the
When we
game.
have if we didn't have the VAR, it would be more acceptable. Now that we have the VAR, to me, it's not.
Which is a
acceptable.
shame because when you have all this technology at your disposal, it's supposed to make the game better, not worse.
And we're able to calculate centimeters of offsides,
offsides.
but then
Millimeters.
clear,
Yes, because
clear
they
one-
draw that line. It's easier that they draw that line
Yeah.
in the middle, and they see the hair, the nose, and the
The toes,
right,
everything.
and the
Sabino,
no,
what do you
but the
think?
head. I don't think there's certain parts of the body that they're not taking into consideration.
your hand.
And the-
Yeah,
Any,
just
it's
the hand.
anything that you could score with, that you legally can
Correct.
score with.
Right. So
Yeah. Sabino, what do you think? How the hell
I just want the calls to be consistent, like we were saying. That's all
agreed.
it is.
agree.
Like they should go through some extensive training and all like be fluid with what's a goal, what's
we're gonna do
offside,
this-
what's a handball, what's not. That's
Yeah.
it, and I'll be happy. Just be consistent with it.
Yeah, I think we see that, and then there's arguments
Better
of the rules.
communication between the VAR room and the referee. More images, more angles at their disposal.
Yeah, which can happen.
Which can happen.
Another thing I just want to add, the ref should say what's on his mind, like a loudspeaker like they have in American football, so everyone's aware. so everyone knows what's going on instead of everyone's asking questions and saying what's going on.
Yeah, because at the same time, like you said, for example, in the NFL, you have the refs who have the mic on, and you hear them throughout the entire stadium.
Exactly.
Over there, they're completely silent. All you see
Right.
at the end of the day is once they come out like this, they make the decision.
And
Yeah,
even Peter,
you don't know what's going
You
on.
don't know
in their
what's
head.
going on. You don't know the context of the
Peter and my dad
situation.
were texting us, guys. What happened on the call? What did he not see? Did Mertens dive? Nobody knows.
Nobody in the
knows
stadium
inside
knows.
the
Yeah,
stadium.
they're in the
Who were
stadium, they
there?
had no
They were
clue.
more confused than
You're
anything
right there
else,
watching
so
the game
I
live right
agree
in
with
front
that.
of you, and you have no clue what's going
Guys,
on.
unfortunately, it's that time, and I have to play Antonio's voice message.
Here we go.
Put it too close.
But the good news, guys, we could shut him off whenever we want. It's like it's like the click button, you know?
Here we go. Here we go.
All right, my remote control is ready.
Okay, guys, this is what I think about the game. Ludovico is a good friend of mine. I love him very much. But Napoli ci ha rubato la partita alla Fiorentina. Joe Barone is a friend of mine too. We all love Fiorentina because of Joe and Rocco. So, Ludovico, you got away with this one here, but you're not going to get away the next time. So, it's 1-0 for you. But don't worry. What goes around comes around.
Well, I hope he says the same thing when Fiorentina plays against Milan.
Oh, snap. Okay.
I hope he says the same exact words. If you have controversy in that game, I hope he says the same thing.
Keep that same energy, Antonio.
Keep
My
that same
opinion,
peace.
I don't think we stole the that.
No, you
yes,
didn't steal
it
the
was
game.
the penalty was there, but it didn't change. There was other goals after that. It came down right. The experience came out at the end of Fiorentina. The last 20 minutes, they didn't have that same
Energy.
Was
the
that-
same energy.
Was that the whole message he sent? Because I feel like I've never heard him that calm
No,
before.
no. So he broke it up by game by game.
Oh,
so that was
wow.
just his Napoli.
That's him warming up. He's
But
getting
I
ready.
admit it, listen, I'm not the type of fan.
If you guys
which-
want to laugh even more, though, he sent me it twice. He's like, the first one wasn't that good. Hold on, let me send you a second one.
But
I'm playing the first
admitting
one.
it.
Hold on.
I'm admitting it that Mertens was not a penalty.
Yeah.
I admit that the first one, according to the new rules, it was a penalty on
Yeah,
Zielinski.
yeah, we're
And I'm
agreeing.
also admitting that it might be a penalty at the end that it should have been checked. The one on Ribéry. I'm saying it. I'm not.
It is what it is. It's it. We're just speaking the facts. It's got nothing to do with
Correct.
emotions of the teams. By the way, last thing before we move on, Montella after the game was very disappointed and upset. He said Mertens dove. Why can't they look at the footage and see that? He said, and also stop calling Chiesa a diver. After what we saw today, I never want to hear that again. So Montella, and I get it. You're a Fiorentina fan. You're a Fiorentina coach. You're clearly upset because you feel like it's also the heat of the moment. Your team played really good. You had the opportunity to win. It is what it is. Let's move on. And if anybody has anything else to say, otherwise we'll move on. Udinese Milan. Udinese pulled off
God.
a 1-0 win over Milan. I watched the game at the studio with Antonia, with Michael, and I gotta say, I couldn't believe what I was seeing from Milan. Similar to like what we're saying with Juve, same
Gattuso's
old
Milan, right?
same old Milan with the same players.
without the energy and without that
the grinta.
right, that
cutting
anger.
edge,
With-
yeah.
They didn't seem hungry.
with Castillejo as the starting striker along Piontek, and Suso behind him, and Borini as one of the central midfielders. Safe to Antonio. Antonio, you know it's bad when Antonio has no words. He couldn't even find anything to say.
Antonio usually screams, shouts, but there he was just dead silent, looking at
He,
the TV. I
he
felt
stood.
bad for him
He
too.
stood and he said, "I really have nothing to say." He had nothing to until the controversy happened, and then he found his little scapegoat for a couple minutes. But until the very end, and Udinese is a team that they're a little bit up in the air. They might sell De Paul, even though the moment that they put De Paul on, he actually got the assist, where Udinese scored.
They made a double switch and they scored both.
And
of them.
then
One
we're-
assist, one goal.
We'll get Sebastian's opinion since he's a Milan fan. And then after the match, I know a lot of Milan fans were disappointed with Gianpaolo, who says, okay, we can no longer do the 4-3-1-2. We're going to go back to the 4-3-3. Where everyone was saying you practiced the whole summer with the 4-3-1-2. All of a sudden, you're already switching after the first game. Sebastian, how do you feel about the entire game, the team,
As a Milan
everything?
fan.
All right.
As a Milan fan.
So as a Milan fan, there's a couple things that go through my mind. One, we have to all remember that, like many other teams in the beginning of the season, everything takes time. Now, do I think that that's an excuse for the performance we had against Udinese? Absolutely not. I'll admit that. But at the end of the day, you have to also understand that a lot of the members of the team still aren't fully integrated into the squad. You have a couple of players that still aren't fully in form. You have Theo Hernandez that you're missing. You're missing pieces to the puzzle that's going to make up the entire team. So this is one thing that I always learn in my life. good things come to those who wait. Now, this is only one game. It's not going to make the whole difference. We can't say that we won the Scudetto like other teams are saying right now. After one game, after a certain amount of goals.
He's looking at you,
Ludo,
Sabino.
he's talking about you.
I'm talking about a different type of blue. Not the,
Oh, he's talking to you.
So, but all kidding aside, yeah, they need to do a lot of work. They need to get back to work. They need to integrate a lot of new members of the squad to see what they can do. A lot of the guys, again, still like people like Leao still have to get fully integrated. Some of them still having to learn to communicate properly with their teammates. So that's another really big thing. And the experience in with the youth is going to really have to be a really big thing. A lot of them are very young talents on the team. So until all of them really pull together really well, there's still going to be a lot to see. There's still going to be magic in Milano, but it's going to take a little bit more time than expected.
Only thing is, Milan. I agree for the most part. But then again, on paper, was Udinese's team really better than Milan?
Absolutely not.
By the way, Milan had 0 shots on target.
Yeah.
Not one
Zero
shot.
shots
You know how
on
bad that
target.
is? Against Udine, that's supposed to be doing even worse than last season.
0 shots on target to me is the crazy part. Where I look at myself, and I agree. I 100% agree. It's going to take time. Giampaolo's system, similar to Sarri's, is a lot
exactly
of
what I
build-up.
was gonna say.
That's unacceptable.
But then
though.
0
Yeah, that's
shots on
unacceptable.
target.
That's not right.
And then the Castillejo as a striker is just
Yeah, that was-
I think
crazy
Piontek
to me.
plays better when he's the lonely.
Lone
Yeah,
striker.
Is a
and
lone
that's what
forward and he
that's
creates
what
his own
everybody was
space.
saying before. You need to change up the formation, having him up there
The
because
4-3-3, I think that would be the best, but you have to put Suso back on the right.
on the right hand side, I agree.
Anto's
All right.
back.
Keep talking. I got to find the part where he talks about it.
No, I agree with Sebastian. A lot of teams in Serie A changed coaches this year. Look at Sampdoria; they lost 3-0 at home against Lazio. A new coach, Di Francesco, Sarri at Juventus.
But Lazio's
Conte.
Lazio.
Well, Lazio is a good, but Sampdoria also played great,
true.
great
Sampdoria-
soccer.
But Sampdoria have a new coach.
Great soccer. See,
Inzaghi's been there for a while now, you know, so it's
the
not
thing,
the same case.
the thing that it doesn't convince me 100% is that you are a new coach and you get hired by that particular team. You have those players, you have that team. That team is used to a certain style of play which they have played the past couple of years. Now, here comes the new coach in and wants to change everything quickly 100%. Turn the table over and let's switch and go to my style. Forget about what you learned. Forget about what you did the past 2 years. I think that approach is wrong. You have already something there. You have the foundation that the other coach left you. A little bit at a time, make your changes.
Allegri
Now,
did that
accordingly-
Allegri did that really well when Conte left.
It's a
Correct,
shock
but
if you
even
do it all
even
at once.
Ancelotti did when Sarri left.
Yeah.
And he left that style
Yeah.
with, he goes, I'm not gonna break
Because
that
you
chemistry.
shock the team. They don't know
Correct.
what to do.
That's a good
Yeah.
point.
Now,
Slowly immerse
now
it
this is
in.
what's happening with Sampdoria. This is what's happening with Milan. Listen, Giampaolo did he had his starting lineup. Those were his thoughts. Sarri did the same thing with Empoli a few years back. He started with the same formation. Then he switched to 4-3-3. Sarri, the first 2-3 games that Napoli lost. I believe the first game we lost to Pescara, and we lost 2 games after that. The first 3 games that Sarri coached at Napoli, we lost. We were dominated. Then things started turning around. But I wouldn't just kill everything that was done by that coach
I agree.
before. Put your sense into it. Put your philosophy into the team, but gradually, a little bit at a time.
So I can't believe I'm saying this real quick.
Still super early, but I think AC Milan's going to need a year to like just rebuild. You know,
I can't believe I'm saying
it's going to be
this.
magic in Milan, but it's going to be Inter.
I can't believe I'm saying this again, but Cassano said Gattuso should have stayed on as the coach.
Cassano
As
says
Milan.
a lot of stuff, though.
And his logic, his logic was if Milan is going to keep players like, I'm not sure if he named Borini and Castillejo. He might have. It's Cassano, so he
Probably
might
just
have.
think them in your
But I might have just been. I might have made
He's
that up.
thinking out loud.
Yeah, but he said if you're going to keep players like that who don't fit Giampaolo's game at all, and you're not going to buy him the right players, you might have just left Gattuso because he'll just get the most out of those players when Giampaolo can't do anything with those guys. True. Which was, I was thinking to myself,
only a
you know,
only a few. 2 or 3.
Leao, Duarte. Hernandez is really good.
Hernandez is a
But
great
he's
player.
injured.
Leao and Duarte, I don't know that much. Benacer looked good coming on. But again, guys, that they're tough to judge. They're still tough to judge. And I do feel for Gianpaolo. I think he's a great coach. But when you have to start Castillejo again as your striker, it's crazy.
Dude, I was surprised when I saw the starting lineup, but I was like, yo, trust in Gianpaolo, let him do it. Then after the game, I was like, geez, maybe just the
Well,
first
also,
match.
let's not forget that the Mercato's not over yet.
That's true.
Yeah.
So
There's
there's
a
still
lot of
things that
time.
could happen last minute.
Correa.
There's a couple
Last
things.
minute sales.
Last minute sales. Yeah.
Or certain players that were not worth anything a month ago. Now, since you need them, they're priced
They're gonna
double
jump
because
up.
now you really need something
Yeah,
at the end
that's
of
true.
at the end of the mercato. Like
That's
a player.
so.
There's a chance that we might get some presents from Juventus. Who knows? We might get Demiral. Who knows? It's something that's rumored. I was listening to today.
That would be
getting
huge.
excited
You
over
need it.
there, huh?
You need.
Good.
I think you guys need.
Maybe, yeah.
And they could take him too.
Yo, they need a cutting edge player. Milan
Listen,
don't
we might
have
get
that.
even Correa too. That's another one. That's another big question mark. That I could
Demiral
be-
would be good. Your defense is so bad. The defense is so bad. It really is.
Yeah.
Yeah, Milan's defense is so bad.
Because-
Yeah,
it's
I don't like
because-
Musacchio.
It's because
and
you still have
Rodriguez
the two
still-
the same
Oh my
center
God.
backs from
Rodriguez is
last season.
temporary.
You need to be
Yeah, I
able to
know,
integrate
but-
the new center back. I'm curious to see what Duarte brings to the table.
Yeah, I don't know
If we
him.
can bring
That's-
Demiral, we have options. With
Demiral's real good.
With
He's real good.
Musacchio, I'm not convinced.
Yeah,
Me too.
Not all.
Me too. I agree with you.
It takes time. Guys,
yeah.
everything it takes time.
They got Donnarumma back there. He made an incredible save.
You saw that one where they were right in front of the
Yeah.
box and he blocked it
Lasagna.
one-handed. He just
Lasagna
said,
shot.
Lasagna just hit
At least
that.
they have him.
That
That's
reflex.
unbelievable.
He had that reflex. He's
Let's
let's
see.
see one hand. Stopped it.
Let's see who's going to be able to eat the panettone.
Oh.
And let's
Panettone is only 3 months away.
And let's also let's
Yeah.
also not,
All 3.
let's also
4
not
months.
forget. At this
September's
point in
already
time
4
last
months away.
season, Milan lost their first few couple of games. They weren't doing well in the beginning of the
And then
season.
they got lit up once they got Piontek.
That's true. Boom, boom, boom.
Still a long season ahead, boys.
He said he needs to charge up.
Long season.
He needs to charge up his bulls. Before I go, I'm just going in chronological order. I look at Bologna, who the storyline was really Mihajlovic, who of course we know he's been battling leukemia. He's been in the hospital. He's been coaching the team for 6 weeks from his hospital bed. They've been live streaming trainings and their
Skype and
games.
stuff, right?
And he's been coaching using AirPod. Like his assistant coach has helped him a lot. His doctors reportedly had told him not to go to this game, that he wasn't, fit enough. He wasn't healthy enough to go to this game, but he wanted to be on the bench on his first one. The guy's a champion. I really love him. He's a
Through
freaking
and through.
hammer.
He's a warrior.
He's a warrior.
Love that guy.
really
He's a
warrior.
champion, man.
I root for Bologna just because of that. It's like, how can you not? So the guy's a champion. I wanted to give a shout out to Mihajlovic. They got a 1-1 draw against Hellas Verona. Verona will be happy with that. I didn't catch the game, but I'm sure Mihajlovic gave it to them in the locker room
for sure.
after that one. Roma Genoa, a 3-3
buddy.
6-goal thriller.
This was a good game
That was
too.
Here's another example of what we were talking before. New coach, new philosophy.
system.
Right away, you try to implement.
My God, the
certain,
philosophy was
aspect
attacking.
of the game and the defense.
The philosophy was no defense.
They're-
That's what the philosophy was.
Correct.
But there was a lot of
my-
games this weekend that were
That's
like
Yeah,
that.
that's true.
yeah, you're right. But both teams, Roma's defense was in
Yo,
shambles.
Juan Jesus should never. Juan Jesus should not be playing a center back for Roma. He's not
Fazio.
I would have just threw him Mancini. I don't care if he had jet lag or whatever that case was. Yo,
A lot of these coaches, they're getting into the habit of playing their defense very, very high,
high up,
Yeah.
high line.
very
Yeah.
right, a high line, and that's a that's
It's
a
risky.
disadvantage.
Yeah.
It is very.
Because then
when you have
they
speedy
get caught
players,
after. Yeah.
They
Despi-
get.
On the
Despite
counterattack,
it all,
it's dangerous.
Fonseca says, I'm not going to change my philosophy. He said it's still going to be the attacking, that they need to improve in defense, obviously. But they still need to be attacking. Under scored
Sick
the
goal.
first goal.
Belter.
Unbelievable.
Sick goal.
Dzeko scored
He
two.
scored two.
Yeah, Dzeko scored. Pinamonti for Genoa was
Love this
he was
kid.
lighting it up.
I love this
He really
kid.
He's from
really-
Inter.
Well, remember also, to speaking about Under, I remember when Roma purchased him. I believe he had a great start.
Yes.
He scored about
Yes.
6, 7, 8 goals.
He
Then
something
of
like
course
that.
the opposition took the countermeasures.
Figured
They
him out.
stopped scoring.
Yeah.
That's the thing with Serie A. They figure you out right away, your players and your style of play, and right away they put the countermeasures on you. So you're not able to do what you did in other.
Same thing with Cliver. Cliver was a similar case. Too.
In
He was
other,
doing
in
good at
other,
the
in other
Cliver was a
games.
similar
Yeah, but this
issue.
is going to be, I think that it's a little bit different now just because I think that the pressure is really on Under and Kluivert. They're the guys.
They gotta
They're-
perform.
They're the ones. You know, before they were the young kids. Listen, we're going to implement them. They're not going to be starters. Now,
Well,
they're
let's
expected.
not-
They're
Yo,
both
we gotta make
expected
the
to be
Champions League.
starters.
Let's
gotta
not
go.
forget though, they're both still relatively young.
No, they are. But I'm saying they're taking a more experienced role in the
yes,
team in a
absolutely.
sense that they're going to be the guys that you're looking for
They don't have that
to have
excuse like their
performances.
first season now. Now it's like you got to get your feet wet. You got to
Right.
start
And
playing.
Dzeko, he fits attacking wise. I thought Roma looked great going forward.
On
They were
fire.
dynamic.
Only going
They were
forward.
very dynamic. But again, like Mike just said, going forward and I mean going back, they were horrible
And
in
in the
defense.
Serie A, you need good defense.
They
or
were
you're not gonna
horrible.
do
Exactly. The
anything.
defense is what really wins you Scudetti. The best the teams that win the Scudetto is usually the
The
team
one-
that concedes the least
less,
amount of
yeah,
goals.
for the most part.
And their defense was very
But right
poor.
now, with these new rules and regulations, to be a defender, you have to be super concentrated.
That's
Every
true.
step you take, you got to be careful. Somebody enters the box. Am I sticking my foot out? Am I holding myself back? Where are my hands? Where's my neck?
Keep your hands in your pockets, right?
It's really, it's really, it's
like that
really
movie.
annoying now for these defenders.
It's
the
true.
kind of pressure that they're under.
That's good
That as soon
perspective.
as
Very
they
hard.
get, attacked, oh, I touched this guy. I better not touch him, otherwise they.
And then they dribble you. And then it's a
Yeah,
19-year-old
look
kid
at-
that
look at-
runs right past
They
you.
don't
Look
make
at,
it.
listen, look at Zeko's goal.
Yeah.
Okay,
Unbelievable.
when he dribbled those
Yeah.
those guys, even today, Sensi, Inter. Back in the day, I mean, Zeko dribbling those two guys, he would have been on the floor. That
was gonna happen years
and
ago, yeah.
it would have been a rugby match in that box.
Would've been a
years
dog
ago.
pile
You
on
will
him.
never be able to take that shot. But now you're afraid to stick your foot out because you don't know what's going to happen. Where's my hand? You have to think about so many things in a split of a second, and that's, I think, is too much pressure
But it make-
on the defender because they want to make sure that the fans are happy. You get to see the Fiorentina Napoli games or the Inter Lecce game.
That's true,
Goals
too.
make
True.
money, sell tickets. Oh, 7-8 goals. Something spectacular.
But
Fans are happy.
it makes the level better and the defenders better if you think about it though, because you have to be more cautious. You got to study more. You got to be more.
Yeah, but then maybe they
on
do
top
their
of
job,
it.
what they do best, worse. Like, did you see David Luiz's penalty? The penalty that he gave
Oh,
up
yeah, he
in the
grabbed his
weekend.
shirt, right?
Like to me,
It was a little
listen,
soft.
I'm not conservative. Like I'm okay with rule changes. I loved VAR. I love all that stuff. But to a sense, I'm like, guys, this is football in 2019. He grabbed his shirt for like a second.
was a
And yes,
little-
it was a little bit stupid. But come on,
Yeah, but still.
I guess I'm used to. You're gonna grab the guy's shirt a little bit. If you're a center back, you're the striker. You know you're gonna get your shirt
It's a
grabbed.
contact sport,
Like
so
it can't just be the
it's
second that you get your shirt grabbed. It's a penalty
It was a
kick.
little
Exactly.
soft. It was
To
a little
me,
soft.
we're getting to a point where you're gonna be able to touch the guy. Oh, penalty kick. That's it. You stop
I'd
the.
rather have that to the Mertens the one.
But the thing is now consistency. That's what we
He
spoke
wasn't even
about
touched
before.
and he went down.
But and Kwame too. Shout out to Kwame from Genoa and Shone was killing it. The kid from Ajax.
I want to give a clap.
He was so
to
good.
I want to give a clap to Genoa. I don't know how they got Sean. If you guys don't know him, he was a midfielder from Ajax that went almost to the Champions League final.
And,
Yeah.
and he's not just a name. He's just not just a name. He was real good.
He's
was
sending
really
some
good.
amazing
Yeah.
passes. Yo, he's gonna be a
And
baller
He's
this
an
season.
architect.
And I remember
Really
I
is.
was listening to the commentary in the game. I think they said this is the first time that Genoa took a point away from the Olimpico since 1994.
Wow. Andrea Azzoli is a great coach. I love Andrea Azzoli, the coach of Genoa, the new coach of Genoa. He's a very, very good coach. They look good all around. Genoa, I have Genoa pretty high. I think I'm in like 11th place. And they showed me that they're real good. They got to do better defensively. They were playing against Roma, who's a tough team, especially in attack. But Pinamonti and Kwame, I was with this Napoli fan, Dario. You guys probably know Dario. Yesterday, he was telling me that, first of all, he started the conversation with Pinamonti's going to be the capocannoniere of the Serie A. He's a Napoli fan. After a couple minutes, the hype died down, and then he nudged down to Pinamonti's gonna have more goals than Lukaku.
He made a bet with me. I
made
said
a bet.
Lukaku was gonna have more goals than Pinamonti. He said Pinamonti.
Listen to
was
this.
Ludo,
Listen to
what do you
this.
think?
Pinamonti is a great,
But who's
he's
gonna
a
have
great
more
player.
goals?
Again, a lot of goals that Pinamonti is going to score, they're going to be from outside the box. It all depends when they play against that team, if the countermeasures that we spoke about before. But I think Pinamonti is a player that is good for 10 to 13 goals per.
Okay,
per
so how many is
season.
Lukaku?
Lukaku, it all depends. Lukaku is in Serie A. He's good for about 20 goals. He can score 20
what I
goals.
like to
He's
hear.
a- he's
So
the
you're
type of
saying
player that
Lukaku
he,
more.
Dario, you hear that?
He has physical. Yes, physical. He's technical. He has the speed, progression. He waits until the team comes up. He can hold the ball. He plays with his back towards the net. Yes, if he has the players around him, he can definitely score 20
Goals.
I think Dario was a little bit too excited.
I think
What do
he
you
drank
think?
too much that day.
Lukaku more than Pinamonti this season.
Yes, no, absolutely.
Sebastian.
Absolutely.
The team he plays on too, though.
Yeah, you
So-
get more service.
All right, so this is gonna be me looking like a jab at Inter, but let's also remember something.
Oh boy.
Uh-oh.
Lukaku played against Lecce today.
Oh, agree. Absolutely.
I don't know if that's going to be every game he's going to be able to score. And plus, also, not to say that the goal was the most beautiful goal that he did. It was a
Was a
tap in.
rebound,
Well,
correct,
it's
right.
positioning.
Yes, it's positioning, but also to a certain point, it's also luck.
It's also where the
It's also where the ball lies.
But
also
I
where the
think with
situation
Conte's
is.
system, like these midfielders are shooting like
Yeah.
crazy too. So
Yeah,
he's gonna get that
everybody-
opportunity to get those tap-ins.
Don't get me-
He's got two fast players. He's got the Lautaro and the Sensi. Those guys could take any player one-on-one.
correct.
They have the speed. They're very technical, and they're good in tight spaces. And when you have players that can do that,
Like a weave with the ball like
correct,
that. Yeah.
right?
But yeah.
Yeah.
But wait, Sebastian, you gotta give me an answer. You gotta give me an answer.
I don't know.
Pinamonti or Lukaku?
I don't know.
Who's gonna have more?
I kind of want to be the
Come
little
on,
bit
you
of
know,
different one on
you
the table.
know.
No.
You know, come on.
All kidding aside. I really do like Pinamonti a lot. I think he has a lot of promise. I don't know.
Don't lie to yourself. Pinamonti's great. Don't get us all wrong, but
So
yo,
you're saying Pinamonti?
I'll say Pinamonti. Why not?
I respect
Wow.
that.
Yeah, you guys are much more optimistic. I like him. I like the kid, but
I like the kid.
he's not gonna be
Let's
Capo
not get-
Carinieri.
let's not get
Capo
crazy,
Carinieri,
right?
no. But do I think he has a chance to be up there and one of the top? He has at least 15, 16
The
goals in him,
funniest
if
part
not
was
more.
Dario's reasoning. He goes, every Genoa striker that Genoa has always Capo
This is a
Carinieri."
good point, though. This is a great point,
Yeah,
though.
but that can be the basis of your argument. I was like, all right.
There's
but-
something in the water over there, right? They're drinking
No, they do
something.
have good strikers. They do produce real good strikers. Let's talk about Inter. Let's talk about Inter since we hinted on them. 4-0 against Lecce.
Big win.
It was expected for me. Lecce wasn't that great. Conte's first game at Inter. Peter went to, again, like we said, real good
Peter's
game.
doing his little tour in Italy right now.
Peter is very, very optimistic. He is the smile on his face.
That
I haven't
could
seen
not stop
that since
smiling.
2010. I
It's
haven't
from
seen that
ear
smile.
to ear.
It was Lecce's first game in Serie A too.
Yep.
But Lecce did not disappoint me, guys. I
No, not at all.
I think the way they were put on the on
I
the
think
field, it
Lecce's
was
staying in the
very.
Serie A still,
Yeah,
regardless.
Lecce, it was a nice,
Until when I
nice
first
team.
came, is like the first half, they had a couple opportunities to score.
But you can't compare against Inter.
No,
One favorite
there
to
was
win
a
the
huge,
Scudetto, so
there was a huge
completely
difference. I mean,
Yeah, of
technically, Inter and Lecce, individuality on the field, it's two completely different levels. Never mind the style of play alone, just by the plays you have on the field, you should be able to win that game easily. But I'd love to see a Lecce against a Genoa or these other teams. I'm sure they're going to play
Sabino,
great soccer.
Inter is the team of the moment right now. There's all the hype around them. How do you feel? How do you feel about the game? How do you feel about the season? Tell us a little bit.
I think we have I think we could have a good season, second, third place, but Juventus stacked, man.
Don't play these mind games. What are you doing over there?
Juventus is stacked. Let's be honest.
And what, Inter's
We're
not?
still. I mean,
spend a lot of
Juventus is
Spend a
insane.
lot of money.
I mean, we did spend a lot of money.
And
I'm
Sanchez
excited.
is coming
There's
too.
still some money to
If
be spent there,
Lautaro
too.
could
Very
take
close.
the next step up, because we still don't have that second striker. We don't
Sanchez
know
is
what's gonna
coming.
be.
Sanchez is
Sanchez.
coming.
Is it guaranteed?
They're saying
He's
by tomorrow. it
They
should
said
be.
within 48 hours he's going to be a new Inter player.
So let's say,
Yo, Scudetto sealed, right?
Well, they're trying, Inter is trying to save on the salary.
Yeah.
And EPL is
Oh,
ruining
really?
this transfer market.
Yeah.
Ahead of Sanchez though, this season. Lautaro's still a little raw. Lautaro's a little raw. He's gonna get some good competition.
I like
think it's
Lautaro.
even.
I like him
think-
too. I like him
think-
too.
an amazing Copa America too.
Yeah, he did
Yeah.
have a
I
really
think
good
it's
Copa
better
America.
though.
His best player.
I'm not crazy about Lautaro.
It's better
I'm not
though if
crazy. I'm not
Sanchez
over the
comes
moon.
there 'cause there's
I
gonna
think
be a lot of
Sanchez would be
competition
the starter with
for him to
Lukaku.
go. For them
Personally.
going back
Then
and
you have a
forth
guy
is
like
gonna be
Barella
good.
in front of the defense
Oh
that
my
balances
God.
the.
Barella
that
made
balances
his
the
debut
team.
today. He did
Yeah,
great.
Sensi's been playing very good. He started.
Sensi was man of the match.
Sensi's
today.
on fire.
I think he was man
The
of the
whole,
match.
thing is,
the whole
I didn't
preseason
think he
tour,
was
he's
that-
been on fire.
When they got
You
him
can't
from
stop that
Sassuolo,
guy.
I was like, he's okay, but yo, he's.
But even when he was with Sassuolo, I never saw
Yeah,
him like
I didn't
this,
think he was
like
that
with
great.
such fire on
40
his
million.
Yo, it's
I
just
am.
Conte's the coach. That's why.
Well,
Well, let's see now what happens the next game.
Yeah, okay. See, bring us back down to earth where we're all in reality.
It's the
truth.
the surprise.
I
you know,
can't be
it's
happy
the-
for my new team or
nah,
something. Is that what you're
Inter got the
saying?
It's
Scudetto this
against
season, I'm telling you
Lecce.
guys.
What is that? Yo, you gotta get the
Easy.
3-1.
Yeah,
Oh my
bro.
God.
This is the thing about Conte. To me, Conte. I've said it many times. He's the best Italian coach right now. In my opinion, Conte is the best coach, and I think he
Better
really
than
gets
Sarri?
the best. Yes, he gets the best out
hot
of
takes,
these
hot
kinds of
takes.
players. Like to make Candreva play the way he does, he really makes these guys good. And like you said about the midfield, I love Conte's midfielders. The five in the midfield, they score so many goals because they're so dynamic. And you'll notice this season, you'll notice that a lot. You know, he has that Lukaku who gets the ball, and then it allows players like Sensi and Barella or even
penetrate.
Brozovic
To
to go
penetrate
through. So many goals from Juve in 2010 and 2011 were from Marquisio and Vidal, who overlapped, and so you're gonna see that so much, and it's difficult to defend because it's not like Juventus where you're looking at Ronaldo. The
And
whole
you need,
game,
to
or
have, you
Higuain.
need to have the appropriate changes, subs, that when these guys get tired,
That's true.
On their not, the Sunday, that game is not going their way, you can make the sub at
That's
the right
true.
time
That's
and
true.
continue keeping that style.
That's
of,
true. His Conte's
style of play.
intensity and his game is very, very demanding. So you have to be always very
Physically and mentally.
concentrated. Exactly. Physically and mentally. You know, Asamoah, who knows the system very well, so he's implemented fine on the left wing back. But the right wing back, it takes a lot. You know, Conte always wants, if one guy goes up, he's got to stay back. And you're going up and down all game. It's difficult. And we saw even De Vrij today, he pulled out
In training.
He pulled out in training.
Yeah.
They had to throw
They had
around.
Ranocchia come in, slot in center back.
Also, Marco, remember, in order to implement, in order to have a Conte in your club, you need to give him complete
Control.
authority,
Yes. Yeah, yeah.
control,
Absolutely.
100%.
Absolutely.
And that's what he wanted from Real Madrid, and that's Real Madrid
Absolutely.
said no, we're
That's
not giving
why
you
he
that,
didn't go.
and that's why he didn't go
Even
to
at
Real
Chelsea,
Madrid.
he didn't really.
Correct.
He didn't
Yeah.
really.
He needs to
That was
have
the-
that.
that was the
full
problem
Now,
over there.
when you have a club that backs you up, regardless what you do and what you say, backs you up 110%.
Especially with money.
Now,
Especially with Marotta.
correct. Now the locker room has to follow you
Yeah.
because it's not only the players cannot bypass the
Yeah,
coach
exactly.
and go to the club and say we're not following him any longer.
Yep.
He's not our coach anymore.
Exactly.
The locker room, when he has the club, now it's 2 against 1. You have the players, and then plus he has Oriali there, also that is very good in managing the locker room. So, but now it takes, even with Icardi, the way they handle Icardi, they're not going back.
Yeah.
They're not going back on their decision.
word, yeah.
Icardi is hoping.
I was actually surprised that he didn't suit up. I mean,
No, he's not going to.
Yeah, he's not going. He didn't even go to the stadium.
He's not going. No.
now nobody's really going to give in to get paid a price.
Yeah, exactly.
No.
They're taking the loss over there to set a precedent.
Well, my
In
opinion.
the long term, that's very
My
good, I
opinion is
think.
this: Wanda said last night that someone said at Inter
Here we go, Tiki Taka.
that he should stay. She's horrible.
I'm sorry.
Nobody said that.
Damn.
His thing is,
She's probably-
and we all know how Italian soccer is and the opinion of the newspapers. Remember, in Italy, you have 3-4 newspapers that have to sell newspapers every single day. So one thing that happens this Sunday, the next following Sunday, they could turn against you. So now he's hoping, I'm going to stick around. I'm going to give 100% at every practice. I hope it doesn't happen. But this is what he's thinking in the back of his mind. I hope someone gets hurt. I hope Lukaku doesn't score as many goals. He's going to miss a few goals. A couple of games are going to end 0-0. Inter is not going to play that well. What do you think the media
Yeah,
is going to
exactly.
say? They're going to start saying, why is Icardi? Why
Sitting
is
at
Icardi
home.
understand? Bring him back. Why doesn't he bring him on the bench? He would have scored those goals. He could have done this. He could have done that. And now the media turns against Inter because not everything is going so
According to
smooth
plan.
according to plan. So that's what he's thinking. Let me stick around and let me see what happens in the next 5, 6, 7 months.
That's a
If
risky
everyone is
strategy.
good- he's right.
That's a
He's-
risky strategy. You're playing with fire. He's playing with fire.
He is playing.
And
with fire.
even Marotta said today, he said absolutely nobody, no less. They were saying it was probably Zhang who told Icardi to stay. He said no less Zhang told him that Icardi is going
Agreed.
back. He said 100% Icardi is no longer
So
part
he's
of our
hoping that the
plans.
team is not going to do well. He's hoping that the team is not going to do
And they're gonna
well.
take it away from him
They're
tomorrow
gonna take
when
it
they
away from
sign
him tomorrow.
Sanchez.
Once Sanchez comes, he's gonna change his jersey for the third time.
They're just accumulating him.
He hopes that the team is
And
not
then
going
they'll
to
sign
do well,
somebody-
so now the media turns in his favor, said, but if Lukaku is
again-
not producing or this guy is not producing, bring Icardi back, you're going to win these games.
Icardi and Lukaku would be insane though up there.
To me, I think Conte would put him back if he had the opportunity. I don't
if he
believe
had the
that
chance
Conte
to, he
wouldn't,
would.
but I think that there's no going back now at this
No.
point.
There's not
Marotta
going
has again. Marotta's the same way. He has to have complete control. He wouldn't have accepted this Inter job if he didn't. If then the owner. Remember, like Berlusconi used to tell his Galliani used to tell the coach, you should play this formation. It's not gonna happen over there. Whatever Marotta says. That's it. Period.
Agreed.
And Conte and then Marotta gives his word to Conte, where Conte says Nainggolan is not part of the plans. That's it. He's
Gone.
getting out. This guy's getting out.
Perisic gone.
And you do take a step back, but I think that Inter's the most serious team right now in Italy after Juventus, because I think that they have a really clear plan. And I think that we've seen a couple teams who get to the Champions League, right? They're out of the Champions League spot, even Milan, Roma, and then they don't really have a foundation. And I think Inter's really trying to build a foundation as a club and even as a company with the things that they're doing. So to me, if you're an Inter fan,
The
exciting.
next team that's not Juve will be Inter to win the Scudetto.
It's going to be this season too.
Well,
I'm saying it. It's going to be this
personally-
season.
I personally think, and I know that tomorrow the Juventus fans will be all against me. They will turn against me.
Get ready.
Uh-oh.
I personally,
Zoom in.
I
Antonio,
personally
ready.
think that Juventus this year went through a drastic change with the coaches and with the coaching and philosophy from Allegri to Sarri. It should be a transitional year for Juventus, even though the main objective is the Champions League. And I think for the Serie A teams, for the Scudetto, I think a couple of other teams will have the opportunity. The gap will not be as big as it was in the previous years in points.
I agree.
I think because
I
of this
agree.
transition, the other teams, if they capitalize and they don't fall through the cracks and everything goes according to plan, I think we should have a very interesting season between
100%.
Juventus,
Inter
Inter,
and Napoli.
a close.
No, I think that's what it's gonna
close
be.
Serie A than we
Previous
think
seasons.
in previous seasons.
No, I think it's
points,
no.
but
I
again,
think it's going to
correct.
be even. I think it's going to me. I agree with you, Ludo. I think that this is going to be a transition year for Juve, and I think the whole thing will be the balance of is Juve's quality. Like you said, they have crazy depth, the best depth. Some of the quality of the players are ridiculous. Their philosophy and that change, the growing pains that they're going to have, will that outweigh the quality of their team? And then the gap of Champions League, and then the gap of Inter and Napoli getting better. And to me, personally, my prediction, and it's a bold prediction, most likely, yes, Juventus would win, but I think that Inter will be able to do it. I'm going to guess Inter, but I think I agree with you. Those top three teams, it's going to be really close. It's not going to be 11 points. By the way, we forgot about Antonio. I forgot.
Thank God.
I thought we muted. I thought we muted him. What happened?
Let's hear what he has to say. I think this is about the Milan game. Let's hear.
I'm ready
I don't
to.
want to say anything about my AC Milan because Gianpaolo is at the very beginning. I saw a team very much
He sounds like he's at a
confused
funeral.
on the field. I don't think Suso belongs behind the two forwards. I don't think Castillejo is a forward. I wish we still had Cutrone with us, but it is what it is.
And he
Start
thinks
crying
Gianpaolo is not a
Those
coach.
are the cards that we've been dealt, and that's we're gonna play the best possible way we can. All right. As far as all the VARs, everybody involved into that room over there, calling the replay and the referees, they should be shot.
Oh my
Okay,
God.
it's the very least.
At the very least.
Disgraceful people
How could you go
getting
more than
paid
that?
so much money, not even with the help of a video, with the clear evidence, are capable to make a decision that they make any sense. Okay, let me take that job. All right, and then I'll
Shots
show
fired.
you. Nobody's ever going to complain. All right, especially the Juventus squads and the Inter squads of my friend Peter. Enjoying his life right now in Europe, traveling up and down, shopping on the Inter shop. It is what it is. As far as Roma, I think it's a
All right.
Okay.
Have we heard enough?
Anto, bye.
I like this. I like this.
You.
He said some funny stuff. Okay, Antonio in charge of VAR. Absolutely not. He's actually told me before, we've joked about this. We said, Antonio, what would you, because he's such a fanatic. Like me, I don't really care too much. I could see a different opinion. Antonio is so fanatic that he can't. And he told me, he's like, you know what? If Milan ever does play, he goes, even if it's not a penalty, I'll definitely give the penalty to Milan. He just look. He took a deep look. He took a deep look at himself. He goes, I know I'm supposed to be a professional. He goes, but if Juventus is playing, they're never gonna get a penalty under me. He goes, I don't care if the guy gets shot in the box.
Serious.
He said,
I couldn't stop laughing.
I'm in favor of VAR, but I'm in favor of consistency.
Yeah.
and in favor
Better
of not
communication
Antonio.
between the ref and the VAR room. More decisions, more calls should be checked. Right. Go check it. More eyes, better decisions for everyone.
Make the right call.
Consistency. Correct. That's it. Make the right calls.
I
This
agree.
Sunday will be against you. The following Sunday will be in your favor. But as long as everything balances out at the end of the season and nobody can say that team was favored or they went to see 5 times VAR for that team. My team, they never went. Decisions, nobody should say anything because of the consistency all around throughout Serie A.
100%.
Better images, better cooperation, better understanding between the VAR room and the ref on the field.
Before we end and take a couple questions and then end, Atalanta came back from 2-0 down against Spal
Muriel.
and won 3-2.
Muriel's
Muriel.
a killer. 2
Love that
goals.
kid.
The guy on his debuts really knows how to make his name.
He
didn't
came off
even-
the bench and scored
Yeah,
too.
he came off the bench and scored.
Unbelievable.
I mean,
Yeah,
he did.
really
He
did.
bailed him out.
Gasparini was shining his shoes after.
And Lazio also put 3 past Sampdoria. Immobile reached his 100 goal.
101 goals.
He got 101, but he reached his 100th in Serie A. And he's one of the most prolific. I don't remember, there was a stat about since like 2015, nobody's had. Yeah, he's been insane. He's got an insane stat. I know we give him a hard time, I think.
I think
a lot
everyone- I think
Immobile.
everyone does.
A lot of people give him a hard time.
Yeah,
He
for
does.
Lazio.
He does.
Well, let's
Hopefully
hope
they
he's gonna be healthy
transmit
this
to the
year.
Italian
Only
national
Lazio,
team.
right?
Hopefully in the future, the national team.
Mike,
there
you
you
got
go.
some questions?
You read my mind.
But he feels the pressure. I feel that
that's
when
why?
he played, when he puts that Italian national team jersey on,
I got a couple.
he feels the pressure.
Yeah,
Yeah.
maybe. Yeah.
Okay,
Mike,
we
let's get some
answered
questions.
most questions, but I'm gonna answer a couple. Okay, coming from Bobby, he says, inform Lukaku or inform Icardi. Who would you get at Inter?
Inform
or just
Icardi.
Player.
Under Conte, I would take Lukaku, but if we're talking in general, I would take Inform Icardi
That's
on
a
my
tough
team.
one.
As long as it doesn't have Wanda.
What's funny is that Antonio wants Wanda on his side. He wants Icardi on Milan, but if he doesn't come with Wanda, usually we would say, no, we don't want Wanda to come with him, the baggage to come with. Antonio wants Wanda with him.
What do you guys think?
Uh,
Both inform, both
I
seasons
would
of the
me
line.
personally, Icardi.
I would take Icardi too.
Mike?
Man,
Minus Wanda though.
I'm so excited about Lukaku.
No question about his talent.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm so.
Right.
I mean, I'm loving Lukaku now in the beginning of the season, but yo, Icardi when he was on form, he was like my favorite Serie A player. He was finishing everything, so I have to go with Icardi.
He's got the
Just out of
he
respect.
really has the potential to be the best number 9 in
All
the
the
world.
drama
To me,
aside, he's
exactly.
got a lot of talent.
No,
He
the
comes
only
with a lot of baggage.
Yeah,
It's the baggage that comes with
That's the
him.
issue at the end of the day. All baggage aside,
I think
phenomenal.
Napoli could be the next
agree.
the next Maradona, the next.
Oh, Maradona.
Well, just look at Higuain. Look at the way Higuain they made Higuain feel when he was with Napoli, and that's the right.
He could be the
fan
next
base.
Higuain. I do
They made
agree
Higuain
with that.
Bring the best out of a player. The passionate fans of Napoli can bring the best out of Icardi, and whatever Napoli produces.
yeah.
Yeah, but De Laurentiis, he'll make him into a movie character.
See,
He'll
the
write
thing is,
a play about him.
Inter did accept Napoli's offer. Napoli and Inter, they do have an agreement. They do have an understanding. Money, they're on the same
But
page.
Icardi-
They know, but Icardi that doesn't want
Yeah.
to
I'm
to
surprised
go.
by that.
Doesn't
too.
wanna leave.
Inter
I'm
accepted
surprised.
Napoli's offer.
Milik, real quick, Milik versus Icardi. Milik obviously has more natural talent. You know, he's better, but I think Icardi is much better as a
Natural
finisher.
talent?
Natural
Yes.
talent?
Milik,
What do you mean by by that?
Milik is much better on the ball than Icardi.
Well,
on
I
the
mean,
ball.
I would say
Much-
maybe he's more
Like
technical.
like
Yes,
technical?
yes,
Oh, okay,
yes.
technical.
Naturally, he's just much better.
Icardi is
Icardi's
much
a
more
much
of a
better
finisher.
finisher. He's a
Icardi's just
poacher.
a better player overall.
Based,
I
based,
think.
on, based on what Napoli produces, the style of play of Napoli
It's made for Icardi.
is made for Icardi.
I
Made
agree.
for a player like
I agree
Icardi.
with that.
100%.
I agree.
Last question from Nicholas. He said, which team's performance this week surprised you the most, good or bad? I'm going with Milan for the bad. I put more emphasis on Gianpaolo. I thought they're going to start off their first game good,
a
get
good
the 3
question.
points, but
That's
they
a good
lost.
question.
What do you guys think? I know mine.
I think Roma,
Roma.
In a good way or
And-
a
yeah,
bad
which
way?
way?
in a negative way.
Oh.
Really?
In a negative way.
Wait,
yes.
you didn't without Manolas, you thought they'd do something?
No, I mean, if you're Roma and you're playing against Genoa, you're playing home. Roma hasn't. The last time Roma tied at home was when Zeman was the coach. I don't know how many years ago was that.
Statistically, though, you're going.
I feel that Roma
Okay.
should have won
He sticks
that
by the
game. I
numbers.
think that to get 3
I dig
goals
it.
from Genoa at home and tying that game, I think that should have been an easy game for an easy win for Roma.
Sabino?
In my opinion.
If Atalanta, they squeezed it out at the end, but
Let's see.
I was really shocked.
I
man.
was shocked.
That's a
too.
good
Down
one.
to Spa.
That's a good one.
That's what I was.
Atalanta is a top 4 team.
I was
Same thing.
I was with you there with Atalanta, but even Genoa surprised me a little bit too
Oh,
because
that's
of
a-
the fact that
that's another good one.
They came up under a huge rock under the Coliseum over there in Roma, and they were able to take that point away. They claimed that it was theirs.
I put them in 9th place, Genoa. I think I put them a little too high because they got
put
some
them in
sick
11th.
players.
No, they're much better. And mine would be
they're very
Fiorentina. I knew that they were going to come out real good, but
They're
I
not
didn't
that
know.
good, right?
But I
Yeah.
think nobody else realized how good they were come
Yeah,
back.
exactly.
And also, what does that say about that we all chose different teams? Like the surprises.
The Serie A's back,
It was
baby.
Serie A's back. It's been too long.
Back and better than ever.
And I think that this is going to be one of the most exciting seasons. We said it before, but I think it's going to be one of the most exciting seasons in many, many years. Since
What I'm happy about,
11, 12.
Marco, is you're right about being the best season. We also, Serie A is back to the way it was in the 80s and 90s.
More
More
competitive,
competition.
right?
More competitive and getting quality players are coming to
True,
Italy.
Okay.
true.
Premier players,
Yeah.
good
There we
players,
go.
Yeah.
names that a couple of years ago would only play and go to EPL
Yeah.
or
Borini.
maybe La Liga. Now they're coming to
And
they're coming to
Yeah.
Italy. But Ribéry, the defender from Juventus,
They leaked.
Lukaku,
Yeah. A lot.
getting
There's so many.
a lot of,
Even Lozano. Lozano to choose
too.
there.
Mario
yeah.
Rui.
That's a big piece.
So a
That's
lot of
big
players
piece.
are now they're starting to believe in Serie A and they're coming back. And also, let's not forget that now the government implemented the new law that
What's the new
when
law?
someone leaves Italy and goes to work outside of Italy and then comes back, there's certain advantages for tax purposes.
Really?
Yeah.
Yes.
I didn't
They
know
are
that.
they would pay very low
Their
taxes.
taxes would be cut. Yeah.
Oh, nice.
The taxes would be
There we go.
cut in
Because
order
they're trying to bring them back.
to bring back these. So let's say, for example, if a Cavani or player that left
Sanchez.
Italy and now
Sanchez?
Sanchez
would
too.
come back, the taxes that Inter would pay on his salary
are
would
better.
be, my understanding of the new law, not even $100,000 a year.
Oh, wow.
It would be extremely low.
Wow. And
in the,
also,
in
to add
the
on to
90s.
that, I think that the mid-table teams have gotten a lot better.
Oh, yeah.
Like, I think that those that competition, to me, last year, it was like
wasn't
they
there.
were a lot of teams were walkovers. Like, a lot of the teams were just not there to fight and to challenge, like Genoa's and
Fiorentina even.
Fiorentinas and
Yeah.
Spals.
Teams of all the leagues playing each other.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Marco,
Yeah,
that's
that's
also
true.
that's also too early. Look what happened with Fiorentina
Yeah,
this
yeah,
year.
yeah. Okay, fair enough.
Fiorentina last year with Pioli, they were flying
it's a
high
prediction.
until January, and then Pioli left. Something happened with the Della Valle. Pioli left, they couldn't win a game.
Mm-hmm.
So a lot of I think the first report card to give out the first report card, I think we should wait after Christmas.
soon.
Okay.
Yeah.
Little
Too
prediction.
soon for the
For the panettone.
for the panettone.
Ludovico, thank you for coming on.
Always
We're
a
going to have
pleasure.
you a lot now. Sebastian, thank you too. I
Thank you,
appreciate
guys.
it, man. We have a Milan fan. Sabino,
Sabino,
guys,
early
check it out.
congratulations on the Scudetto.
Yo, Mike's mad
at these
funny.
mind
Mike,
games.
Mike
He's
likes
still
to say
playing these
this,
mind
but then
games
when
already.
we did a prediction video, he doesn't choose Inter as the winner because he's too scared to go on record. Exactly.
I don't want to put them on
And then, but you know why too? Because then he could go back and be like, "Oh look, I said Inter were going to win the Scudetto," so he has two choices. Now he's got Inter and Juventus winning the Scudetto.
I did say I want Inter to win it.
Can't
but
double dip,
honestly,
Mike.
wants-
Yeah,
Can't
exactly.
double dip,
Mike,
Mike.
Mike is the type of guy he wants the bottle full and the wife drunk. All right?
Also,
That's a funny one.
shout out to Sabino and Growing Up Italians, guys. You got to check out their podcast and check out their Instagram. They do
Make
a
sure
really
you got
great
your
job.
Italian passport. Grow up Italian.
I'm working on it.
Yeah, are you? Good. Guys, as always, Serie A is back. Italian Football TV for your merch and exciting times ahead. We'll talk to you soon.
Forza
Ciao, ragazzi.
Napoli. Ciao.
Ciao.
Forza Inter, baby.